Ugh, I hate Mondays. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ledger. Thank you all so much for clicking on this video. Thank you. I am trying to reach my goal of 250 subscribers, so make sure to click that like button and that subscribe button. But we are now doing a tier list for Garfield the cat. I forgot to add in the two shows on here, so I will be using my editing skills to add them on later. So let's just start by talking about the movies so far. So first of all, we have Garfield, Babes, and Bullets. I will put this one, well, we need to introduce our tiers first. We have great, good, okay, meh, bad, and really bad. Okay? Based on the stuff, Babes and Bullets, I will put this one in good. I remember having fun with this one. It's like a noir type Garfield movie with Garfield being a detective. It's fun. He's very funny in this one. Odie and him have great duo, and they bounce off each other really nicely. They have a really nice dynamic to each other in their banter. So, well, even though it's mostly just Garfield, Odie just makes sounds and faces because he doesn't talk. So I think that it is fun the way that they incorporate him into it. So I have a lot of fun with this one. So I'm fine putting it in good. Next up, in the complete opposite direction, we have Garfield, The Tale of Two Kitties, and we are putting this one in really bad. I don't enjoy this one. I don't enjoy any of the live action Garfield movies. You ever wonder why I never got a third live action one? Because this one was awful. They were enormous critical failures. The second one in particular only has a 12%, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty low. So they were never enjoyed by any of them. So, and by any of the critics. So the humor never lands. It's mostly just potty humor in it. So I can't just. It's just so dumb. I think that the CGI they use on Garfield is horrible. They always have to go CGI. It looks horrible when they do this with live action. Like Hop, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Garfield, whenever they make a animal using CGI, it looks horrendous. Especially with the Chipmunks and Alvin and the Chipmunks. They look horrible with their CGI. And their voices are also very annoying. Let me know if I need to do an Alvin and the Chipmunks tier list. Because that would be a interesting thing, but I would need to find a pairing for it because I don't feel like just talk. I could just do also the two animated movies I've seen of those, the horror ones, but those are fun. But anyway, I just don't like this film. Next up, we have Garfield, Feline Fantasies. I'll go meh for this one. I don't hate it. It's just a fine one that I just find very forgettable. I can't remember much about it, so I'm not spending too much time talking about it. It's like Garfield having some fantasies about him stuff, so Odie's along with it too. So it's always fun getting their dynamic with each other. They have some really good banter that they always have, even if Odie doesn't speak. They still have fun banter between each other. So I have fun with them. It's not necessarily the funniest in the franchise, but I have. But to be fair, some of them are not meaning to be like one of the greatest comedies of all time. They're just wanting to be having some funny moments, and they sometimes do. Now we have Garfield and His Nine Lives, or whatever that's called. I'm going to stick this one in bad. I don't like this one. I think that this is the only animated film on this list. And the live action films are not animated, even if Garfield's CGI is partially animated. So, I don't think that this film is very good. I think that it is boring, very boring, and I think that just the way that they use it. Garfield actually isn't even in too many of them. He's in a few of them, but even then, he does not get as much screen time as I would have wanted as a Garfield fanatic. So I think they underutilize him at his worst in here. So I'm not happy they had to do that. So I have fun with this. I actually no, I don't. I'm thinking of a different one, but I don't have fun with this one usually, and I think there's plot holes in the thing, but it's not very good. It feels like they're trying to make fun of some stuff that they just are coming under self parody at times. But somehow we're even worse now because we now have Garfield the movie. I am going in really bad. I will put it in the back. Actually, no, in the front because I think Tale of Two Kitties is worse. So I don't like this film. It's just a film that is boring. and so bad. I think that the acting by Bill Murray, he doesn't do a good job in either movies. Well, he tries his best. He's definitely probably actually the best part of this. He's trying to be funny, but it just never lands. Never. His acting's pretty choppy at times. I think that it's almost like he didn't want to be in this one. I think he had to be legally forced into the second. I have no idea. I know he didn't want to do any of them. He didn't like any of them. He made fun of it in a movie of his called Zombieland. I know it got a sequel. His character's killed by Jesse Eisenberg in the first one, and he makes fun of Garfield at one point because he didn't like the film. So I know that he just did not like this one. So I think that he's probably the best part about it. But to be fair, that's not a very high bar. The CGI is pretty bad in this, and I just find it to be boring. The character's not very memorable. Odie's not very funny in this one because he doesn't have his usual banter. He needs to be animated for that to happen. When he's live action, it works horribly, and it just completely backfires. So when he's animated, it's much different. So I have hope in this new upcoming movie that it's going to be really good. It looks like it could be great and probably could be my favorite of these. So I do think it's good. And it has a lot of problems, this one, a lot. It's hard for me to think of anything good about this, but I did not like this when I first saw it, so red flag already. Now, in the complete polar opposite, we have Garfield's Christmas. Top of great. There's no surprise. There shouldn't be. I love this movie. This thing. This is easily my favorite of these. There's one competition, but not even usually, because I would still say this one is my favorite. I watch this every year on Christmas. So usually at the beginning of the Christmas season, like around December, like December 1st, I usually will like watch it once, maybe even on Thanksgiving as like a double feature. I'll also watch it on Christmas Eve. So I watch it quite a few times. It's my most rewatched one along with Thanksgiving. Those are the two I've rewatched by far the most. By a landslide, I have watched those two the most. And I have a lot of fun with them. I think that this one loses steam in the... Right as it gets to Christmas Day, that's where it starts to lose a bit of its steam and funniness. But otherwise, it's a really fun movie. All of these movies on here have a time where they lose steam. Except for the live action films, which never gained steam. They just completely just start deflating. Which is, even if they were inflated a bit. But next we have Garfield Thanksgiving. Another one we're putting in great. This is my second favorite, and I watch this one on Thanksgiving every year. This one is very fun. I think it's funny, it has good moments, and it has a lot of things working for it. I think the chemistry between Odie, Garfield, and John is really fun. Garfield and John have some funny scenes in this, especially with them going to the vet. And Grandma is funny in this one, just the way that she's... like taking care of all the meals. As soon as she leaves, that's where it starts to slow down. But there's only like 5 to 4 minutes left on the film thing when she leaves, so I can usually still have fun with this. But that's usually where I start to check out when she leaves. But I still have a lot of fun with it even if she does leave. So I do have fun with it. Next we have Garfield Gets a Life. Garfield Gets a Life. I will put this one at the top of good. I do think that this one's good. I think it has some problems. Like it feels like it's starting to lose steam a bit. It has a part where it loses steam, but I still have fun with it even if it does. And there's moments that seem like they're getting a bit too bad, but they usually are funny. But actually I won't say it. I'm gonna take that back. I'm thinking of a different one again. Sorry, I'm still thinking of Nine Lives. I have no idea why, but Gets a Life is definitely one of the best. It's one of my favorites. I think it's more like a long episode of the TV show, even though it's like 24 minutes, but it's still one that I think is very fun because it focuses on the house life of them. So that's what I always wanted with one of these films, not when they go off to this like exotic location. So I'm happier when it does that, but I still have a lot of fun with this one. Now we have Garfield Goes Hollywood, and I'll go okay with this one because I cannot remember too much about this one, but I know I enjoyed it more than Feline Fantasies. So I have fun with this one, I think. I do not remember too much about it, so I'm just going to skip it because I can't remember almost anything about it. It's just, I know I did enjoy it quite a bit, so I will put it in okay. So, okay. No pun intended, if you can even say that. But anyway, we're now on to Garfield in Paradise. I will put Garfield in Paradise. In the good tier, I will put it above Babes and Bullets. Let me just there. So it's a good one. I think it has fun. I think it has fun with its premise in going to like that like island setting. So I think that like John loses a lot of his money in that, and they have to go to this like really funny hotel. So it's funny. It's one of the funniest of them. John, Garfield, and Odie have a really funny banter in this one, so I think that they're on point in this one as they usually are together. But this one in particular, but also as soon as you get to like the tribe setting, it starts to lose its steam. It starts to go on the back wheels a bit. So I have fun with it, a lot of fun with it. It's one that again loses steam, but I think that it does still have a lot of fun. But otherwise, it's definitely a top tier of the Garfield thing, so the Garfield movies. Now we have Garfield Halloween. I will put this one right here, right. Sorry, come on, move there. Garfield Halloween. I'll put it above Babes and Bullets, but I think that this one's one of the better ones that I remember growing up on. I grew up on this. The ones I watched the most were this one, and the one that we're about to talk about because that will be the last one. Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those are the ones I always watched the most. So that one, it always creeped me out when I first watched it. When it gets to like the pirate thing, that kind of scared me a bit. I have no idea why. I was a bit of a scaredy cat, but I just remember getting a bit frightened by it. So I know that I'm probably on an island with that one. So I have fun with this one, and it does lose its steam when it gets past the island thing. They're like trying to get away. That's when it loses steam. They all lose steam eventually. Even my favorites one, they do lose steam. But I do have a lot of fun with this one. There's very little negative I can say about the one at the tops, great, and the ones that are in the great tier. But I do have fun with this one too. And lastly, we have Garfield in the Rough. Garfield in the Rough. I will put this one at the back of great. This one is a top 3. This is my third favorite in the franchise of the like little Garfield things that were turned into books that were made from books to movies. This is my third favorite, and I think that this one is one of the funniest. It has a tiny bit of like horror vibes at times with the panther escaping, so I like that. It's always good to have sort of that. It creates tension. And I think it loses steam right when they have their little song thing when Garfield's exploring. Then they immediately pump the brakes and like, wait, no. We need to be scary in this stuff. So they go back and say that the panther escaped and that's possibly heading towards the campsite, so they have to get out. So, and there's this really cool scene with Garfield trying to defeat the panther. So sorry about the little cut there. I had something that I needed to take care of real quick. But anyway, back to what I was saying. It's one that creates tension, so it's easily one of my favorites. It has brilliant moments. I think the comedy pretty much always lands. It has some funny moments because they're going camping, so Garfield's like pretty much just like, no, I don't want to the whole time. So it's really funny. It's probably the funniest of the ones on here. It's one of the funniest at least. It's the top 3. Actually no, Thanksgiving's probably the funniest on here. So it's definitely one of the ones I watched the most. It's in contention with the Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas for the ones I watched the most. So I have a lot of fun with it. So it's one of the ones I've rewatched the most. So I'm confident putting it in great. But anyway, I'm gonna use my editing skills to now put in the Garfield movies on here. You will not notice that I just left, but I will because I'm the one that's leaving right now. So I will be right back, but you guys will just see me just go from here to here. So I will be right back, so see you. Hello.
I'm back.
I know, you tried to get rid of me, but sorry, you're not getting rid of me anytime soon. But back to what we were saying, we are now talking about the 2 shows about Garfield. We're starting off with the second of which we have the Garfield show, the second show that Garfield has, the Garfield show. I will go at the... I think I will go behind Garfield Gets a Life in Good. Because I do think it's a good show, but I have to keep in mind they have some stinker episodes that are not very good. Garfield, there are some jokes that don't land, but I have to say when it hits hard. So it's very good. It's a very good show because it's funny. It has moments like Nermal is so annoying in here, and Garfield gives him what he deserves. And if you didn't notice, if you grew up on the Garfield and Friends show, Nermal is a boy. I get it because it's hard to tell because in the show he is played by a girl. See, it just tricked me again. Nermal is played by a girl in the older version, Garfield and Friends. It's hard to tell. Well, actually, it's actually pretty easy to tell. So a lot of people confuse Nermal to be a girl, and also because he has longer eyelashes and stuff, and always brags about being cute. So, man, I hate it when Nermal gets in my head. I try and keep him out of there. He doesn't deserve to be in there. And Garfield, he's at his funniest in some of these episodes. He's funny. Odie, I think, is funny, and the sound design, the way they use it, and the world building is kind of fun. But I have to keep in mind they do have some episodes that are kind of stinkers. So I do think it is going to be at the top of good. But we now have Garfield and Friends, the show that started it all. Whew. Okay. Well, I believe it started it all. I don't know. I think it was the first one. I may be wrong, but we will put Garfield and Friends in at the back of great. Yeah, I think that's fitting because I think I would take Garfield in the Rough, Garfield Thanksgiving, and Garfield Christmas over it. But because I do have to keep in mind that the show also has stinkers, so I do think it's a good show, and I do think that it's funny. I think that John's also really funny in this one, and they would also do an Orson's Farm thing that I was not a fan of. That I just wish that they would skip that. They had no need for it. They do some like quickies, things that are only like 10 seconds. Pretty much all of them are cut from the comics that I always knew they were from. So it was funny getting to see them on a show where there's moving, and it's really funny. Garfield does not move his mouth in this. He moves his mouth in the Garfield show. Like in the Garfield show, he's not only 3D, but he also moves his mouth, and it also acts like people also act like they can understand him talking, so it's a bit weirder in that one. So this one feels a bit more grounded, but I do think this is a good show. But anyway, that is my tier list for all of the Garfield shows. Your homework is to give me another tier list idea that I will think about doing. And also, if you would like a shout out, as in if you have a YouTube channel and you want some of my subscribers, because I've been gaining a lot lately, if you want my subscribers to go and check you out, then make sure to let me know that you want a shout out. Tell me your idea, and I will give you a shout out in the video that I will be doing. So that is your homework. What are you still doing here? Start typing. What would you like? And also, it's a pretty much a free wish that you can have for me. So it's an idea I would take. So thank you all so much for watching. Please give me another idea for a tier list, but that is my tier list for Garfield. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a good one.